Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making a Polish style tart with buckwheat, wild mushrooms and smoked cheese. Did you like our little adventure in the woods? Hello my hungry friends. Today we're taking you out of the kitchen into the woods. We're going mushrooming. Oh!
We have our first victim.
This one is big, but it's also eaten alive.
Oh no, it's got diseases. That's not bueno. Well, the hunt continues, I guess, huh?
We can clean it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I found a mushroom.
Did you? One of the kinds we can eat?
No.
Oh. No eating this one.
So the thing with mushrooming is this is a national sport here in Poland, and you only do it when you know exactly what you're doing. It's a sport for a reason. You have to be really good at it. Now this is a mushroom.
That is a mushroom.
Can you pick it?
You can pick it.
Can you eat it?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
And how do we know?
I don't know.
Because we're professionals.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I'm here with you.
So we only pick mushrooms that we know for sure are edible. And I only know 2 or 3 different types that I pick. And hopefully we can find those today and I shall show you.
Sounds good.
Hello, gorgeous.
Hi. Boy, little is the word, isn't it?
It is the word.
It's just a little cutie.
Look how cute.
Ah, we now have enough to make a garnish.
It's nice and healthy. You normally cut the stem and then you look at it here, and if there's not a bunch of dots here, that means it hasn't been eaten by bugs. But this is one of the edible mushrooms. This is a podgrzybek. I have to look up the name of it in English. I don't know it.
Mushroom ski.
But it's dark on the top and it's got nice yellowish, kind of spongy bottom. And this is what we're looking for. So keep your eyes peeled. Good?
Good.
No good.
Bad.
See?
Show me the underbelly.
Deadly mushroom.
Deadly.
This
This
guy.
is the problem.
This guy, very light underbelly,
Yeah.
kind of pinkish.
That guy kind of
This
yeller.
kinda yeller.
Kind of hard to see in the sun, but
That's why we say don't do this at home.
right. Unless you're a professional Polak, like her and him, then you can do it. She can't do it.
Here.
Ale ładnie.
Healthy.
Super. Gratulacja.
Thanks.
Two essential things to bring mushrooming. A thermos with your favorite hot drink.
And or vodka.
Tea, in this case. And snacks. In this case, sweet buns
Oh, favorite.
with poppy seeds. Sweet buns. My favorite.
No, the bun.
Oh.
Thank you.
Another essential item. A compass. Mine is holding the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And a knife.
What do you do with the knife?
Cut the shrooms.
Why do you cut them and just don't yank them?
I don't know. Because Grandma said.
Okay.
It was semi-successful. We got several mushrooms, and there's probably half of them here and half of them in my bowl that I've prepared for a recipe today. The rest of these I will probably use for a sauce. Today we're going to be making a quiche, and it's not strictly a Polish quiche, but it's a quiche that I guess I could say is made with ingredients that are pretty prevalent in Poland. So I'm using wild mushrooms, but I understand those are kind of hard to come by outside Poland. So you can use button mushrooms or chanterelles or any mushroom that you can buy in the store. And you're gonna need about 8 ounces of them. Did I already say we're making a quiche?
Yes,
I think
so.
I don't think I did. We're making a mushroom buckwheat quiche with smoked cheese and walnuts. So to start, we're gonna make our crust, and it's just a simple crust. We're gonna make this first so it can go in the oven. It can go in the fridge while we're getting our filling ready. So let's get started. I have 150 grams of all-purpose flour in here, and 150 grams is about 1.5 cups. And to it I'm adding butter that is cold, and this is let me think now, 11 tablespoons, which is about 150 grams, and 11 tablespoons is a stick plus 3 tablespoons of butter. And since this is a savory quiche, I'm adding a little bit of salt, a couple pinches, and I'm gonna start working these two, just the flour and butter. Just try to incorporate these together. And we want to make this into a kind of a soft dough. As you saw in the video yesterday, we have beautiful woods here in Poland, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We picked mushrooms for about a couple of hours, and as I said, could be better, but could be worse. I'm glad we just got some to make our recipe. Picking mushroom season is right about now, which is end of September, October. Sometimes even starts in August if the weather permits. And we had a few rainy days recently, so mushrooms are popping up. So this is kind of starting to stick together now, and to it I'm adding 1 egg. And I'm also going to add, once this kind of starts getting together, I want to see if I need a little bit more moisture. And if I do, I will add a little bit of water. But this looks kind of sticky already, so I don't think I'm going to need the water. Actually, I think I'm going to need a couple more tablespoons of flour. Behind me here. Should have left some for sprinkling. There we go. Just so it incorporates and kind of sticks together.
Help you with what?
So the dough is nice and soft, and that little bit of flour just helped me get the little bits and bobs off of my hands and off of the bottom of the board or of the bowl. And I'm just gonna have this stick together and cover it with plastic and pop it in the fridge. So I'll see you in a couple minutes. I have cooked 1 cup of buckwheat. That's about 200 grams, and it makes 2 cups. So 2 cups of buckwheat. It's nice and cool now, so you can start with that before you start making your dough. And I'm heating about a couple tablespoons of butter, and I'm gonna add my mushrooms into the bowl. And after coming from mushroom picking, I just kind of took off the there's some, you know, pieces of grass and maybe moss, so I just kind of gently cleaned it off with a towel, dry towel, and then I sliced these, and I'm just gonna saute them a little bit. We want to cook them in butter a little bit ahead of time before putting in our quiche. So we'll let these cook for a little while, and we're also gonna add 1 onion and just kind of big dice on the onion, and I'm gonna throw it in along with the mushroom. And we want to see big chunks of the onion in our quiche also. And the quiche is gonna cook for only long enough to kind of let the eggs set. So we want to have all of our ingredients pre-cooked. Mushrooms are kind of hard on the stomach, I guess, so you want to have them cooked a little bit. And they're also not supposed to be served, wild mushrooms, they're not supposed to be served to children. So if you're using wild mushrooms, keep in mind that this is an adult version of dinner. Even though it tastes delicious, but they're kind of hard on the stomach. I'm gonna give these a little bit of salt, but I cooked my buckwheat in salted water, so we kind of want to be careful with how much salt we're going to be using throughout the recipe. And I am going to add a little bit of pepper, because I think mushrooms like pepper. They go well together. So the wild mushrooms are a little bit different in texture from the button mushrooms that we normally use in the kitchen. They are a little bit more, there's more moisture in them, and they get a little bit slimy when they get cooked. Not everyone is a huge fan of that texture. I don't mind it. I actually like making a sauce out of mushrooms just like this. I would just add some cream to it and parsley and eat it over dumplings or potatoes. That's tasty too. It's a very prevalent fall flavor in Poland. So we have this ready, and I'm also using today farmer's cheese that has been smoked. And I understand this may not be an ingredient that's available. I actually have never seen it outside Poland. It's the hard cottage cheese that has been smoked, and it tastes like it sounds. It's almost like a smoked sausage with farmer's cheese combined. It's really good. Again, I understand you won't be able to get this outside Poland, so just go ahead. You can use any smoked cheese that you can find. A smoked mozzarella.
There's I mean, there's lots of smoked cheeses. I just
Okay,
don't know cheese.
okay, use smoked cheese
Use smoked cheese
If
or
you-
add liquid smoke.
if you can. So we'll let the mushrooms cook for a few more minutes, and we're gonna take our buckwheat. And in Poland, you can also, they differentiate between roasted buckwheat and unroasted buckwheat. If you have a choice, get the roasted one. And the roasted is a little bit darker from the unroasted one. The unroasted one is kind of like cappuccino color. I just prefer the taste of the roasted one. And to it, we're gonna add, this is 275 grams of smoked cheese, and I'm just gonna crumble mine. If you're using other cheese, you can shred it on your shredder. I think I'm gonna use this much. Seems to be a lot. Rinse my hands real quick. And to it, for a little crunch, I'm gonna use some walnuts. And this is about a cup here. I think I'm gonna use maybe 3/4 of a cup. And just give them a rough dice. And they'll give us a little bit of texture and flavor, obviously. That's pretty good. We'll put this in our filling bowl. And I already added salt to this, some pepper. A few turns. If you like yours a little bit more spicy, then go ahead. And I'm gonna give this a mix. And to it, I'm gonna add, does it look nice? It tastes a little bit like the filling for pierogi. I have done buckwheat and twaróg, farmer's cheese pierogi, before. And I think, I'm not sure, the video is not on YouTube, but the recipe is on my website, polishyourkitchen.com. Okay, so we have this, mushrooms. Mushrooms are browning nicely. Give these a couple more minutes. And to this, I'm gonna add a little bit of parsley. You can do parsley or fresh thyme would do well in this. And we want a little bit of color with our dish. And parsley is, I feel, also a very Polish ingredient. We use it a lot. So a couple, 3 tablespoons of fresh parsley or thyme, if you prefer. I'll give this a little stir. I'm gonna add an egg as our binder, or maybe even a couple. And give this another stir. And I think this is good for our, look at our mushrooms. They have gotten a little color on them, a little browning. Onion is still has a little bit of crunch to it, so I think this is pretty good. We'll add this to our filling and just give it a little stir all together. The cheese gets a little melty from the mushrooms, and it already smells delicious with the smoky cheese. So we will set this aside. We will get our dough ready, dough out, and get our quiche dish ready. Our dough is out of the fridge, and you can cut down on cooking time on this and just buy the rollout dough, either like pizza dough or just pie crust, and use that instead of making your own. But making your own is always better. And you saw it took me about 5 turns of my hands to make it. So I have my quiche dish, and I'm gonna roll out this dough in between 2 pieces of paper, parchment paper, just to make it easier and non-stick, to the size of my quiche dish. And oven is preheating to 190 Celsius, 375 Fahrenheit. So we want to roll this out to fit your dish. And measure. That's just outside the brim or rim. Rim. So I'm gonna give this a couple more moves to flatten it out just a little bit more. Okay. And then this guy, I'm gonna put right over the top with the parchment paper in. And with the top parchment paper in, I'm just going to push it in to fit my mold. This way we're not getting our hands dirty, nothing is sticking. Can get the dough into the creases of the mold, and everything fits nicely. And now we have this in. I'm going to remove the top layer gently. There we go. And I'm going to trim the sides of the paper, because there's no need of it for it to be sticking out so far out. Just enough for us to grab the dough when it's, or the pastry, I guess, when it's cooked. I'm going to cut around, and you can see how thin around the dough is, and I'm just going to go around and kind of even out the edges so it just looks a little bit more presentable. And this will go in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. Your thinner dough, I guess, will take a little bit less, so kind of keep an eye on it. We don't want it burning. We want it to cook through. Poke holes in it a little bit. Now I'm going to take my paper, the one that I just used, and put, I'm very disorganized today, I feel. I'm putting either baking weights, or I'm just using beans that I use for baking, and put them on top for cooking or for baking, so our dough doesn't spring up. I'll trim the paper a little bit too. I don't like the corners burning. Okay. I'll push that into the edges, and here we go. And into oven it goes. Our crust has been in the oven for 12 minutes, and I've just taken it out, and I'm going to remove my beans, and then on top of this beautiful dough or crust goes our filling. I guarantee you've never had a quiche like this before. Or is it called a quiche? Or is it called, we call it tarta in Polish. Is it a tort? Is there a word such as tort?
There is a word such as tort.
Oh,
there
maybe
are
this
savory torts and there are
sweet torts?
sweet torts, but I think what most people in America would call a quiche has a lot more egg in it.
Okay, so maybe we'll call this a tort instead. It is cool.
Quiche tort thing.
It's a savory pastry that I would eat this for. This is like a lunch or dinner type situation. So I'm just gonna flatten the filling, and if you're using regular yellow cheese, I guess we call it yellow cheese, that's not twaróg, you can even sprinkle some on top if you want, which I'm not gonna do. So this is gonna go back in the oven for another about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. Kind of watch your edges. We don't want the edges to burn, and if they are getting a little dark, just get a piece of tin foil and kind of wrap around your dish or cover the whole thing. Looks good. Our tart slash quiche has been baking for 30 minutes, and I've pulled it out and taken it out of my pan onto the plate, and I'm ready to serve. This would serve probably about 4 or 5 people. 4 hungry people, 5 medium hungry people. And look at our tart. It looks delicious, huh?
It does.
I'm gonna get the edge here. The crust is nice and flaky and savory. Delicious. The buckwheat, the combination of buckwheat and mushrooms is perfect together. The cheese gives us a little bit of the smokiness. It's really delicious. I hope you try it at home. I hope you check out my merch store, PolishYourKitchen.com. Many new designs and merch. Support our channel. Watch us again. We'll see you next time. Smacznego.